We'll call the meeting to order here, and we'll start with a roll call.
Greg Myrie.
Here.
Rich Shield.
Here.
Wayne Feldmeyer.
Here.
Ed Hamel.
Here.
Jim Weezer.
Here.
Larry Hafner.
Here.
And Josh Grant.
Here. If we want to read the public notice.
Please take notice that an application has been made by Justin Mark, 448 County 9, for a conditional use permit to build a dwelling on less than 40 acres in an ag district in Houston Township. Said applicant standing and making application is with consent of PO. Said applicant is the fee holder on that land. A hearing on this application will be held at the Houston County Commissioners Room in Caledonia at 5:30 p.m. on Thursday, April 22nd of 2022. All persons having an interest in the matter will be given the opportunity to submit comments relative to the granting or denying of said application. Comments should be mailed to the Environmental Services Department or emailed and must be received by Tuesday, April 19th of 2022. Comments in regard to the petition received by this date will be part of the public record and will be made available for review by the Planning Commission prior to the meeting. This was advertised on April 13th of 2022.
Okay, and I guess if we'd ask the applicant to come forward again and just kind of explain what's up.
I'm Justin Mark, and
Justin, do you want to sit down? Just for the recording purposes.
So on my 15 acres down there, I'm looking to clean that spot up, the old building site there, and put in a trailer house.
Single wide, double wide?
Single wide.
Single. Okay. And then you're kind of intending to remove everything that's on site and then just have the mobile home there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then I got here for some of the meeting first, and it sounded like they had some questions about the septic and all that sort of thing. And it sounds like you satisfied those ideas and approached somebody to set that up. Yeah. Okay. Questions from Planning Commission? Has anybody visited this site or anything to kind of familiarize them? Probably somebody know where it is and everything.
I know it is.
And I drove down there today just to take a look at it, and you were correct. There's a lot of stuff on there.
A lot of work, sir.
Yeah. So you're pretty energetic.
Yes.
Okay. So it'll look better if you put something else there, and I think the neighbors would probably appreciate it too. So
Yes, sir.
yeah. And then any other questions for anybody? How about members of the public? Is anybody here that would like to speak to this matter? And there was that one letter that was in there. Do we address that or?
Would you guys like me to read it or?
Yeah. why
I
not?
think we should, because we
Packet.
got it in the packet and everything too, so.
Dear Mr. Herrick, I'm writing in regards to the variances requested by Justin Mark of Houston Township. First one is a dwelling to build on less than 40 acres. The second is a reduction in the setback from a county road. The third one is a reduction of the ordinary high water level setback. Goes on to say 3 strikes and you're out, right? How far over the line is the tipping point? Question mark. There has to be some integrity to the zoning ordinances. Now you've only been in your current position a short while and have to establish your reputation. But I hope you have the fortitude to do it, to do what is right.
And you maybe know this gentleman, I imagine, or not. Or,
Steve Hardwick, I don't know.
okay. But anyway, I kind of think it's important to just mention this, but actually the first one's permitted. The second one, I got a reduction in the setback for a road for a shop pine building. So this is kind of normal. And then the third one is the high water level, but that's kind of addressed also. So, I mean, everybody has the right to their opinion, but the ordinance permits what you're doing. So I think we should get that clear. So, any other questions after that? Or? What's that?
I believe that was it for comments.
Right. So I think we could probably, can we go to findings of fact, or do you have any more to add to the thought process?
I guess one thing too, because it was important and for the variance hearing, we had some other conditions that we kind of had come up with here in the last week or so. After this was published, would you want to change anything, or you just want to touch on that after?
I'll certainly read them again.
It's probably a good idea to go through that and put some conditions on the deal, I think.
Based on that, some of you have driven down there, seen the stuff, there's a lot of stuff.
So our first three are, the two are the standard conditions we always have. The third is that applicants agree to bring in not less than 2 feet of fill based upon a recommendation by the county highway engineer. And then the building permit will dictate the quantity of that fill and any necessary erosion control practices that need to be addressed at that time. And then Marty,
And then
This other-
number 4 is cleanup and site restoration of the proposed dwelling location shall be completed prior to the submittal of the building application to the Houston County Zoning Office. Documentation of the site restoration shall be included with the building permit application or submitted in advance. The documentation shall include photos, records of disposal, including but not limited to construction and demolition waste, non-processable waste, and municipal solid waste. Site restoration shall be performed in accordance with Houston County solid waste ordinances. Number 5, the property owners shall maintain open areas free of solid waste accumulations unless the solid waste is stored in an acceptable container as specified in Houston County solid waste ordinances. Solid waste shall be stored in a manner to prevent the loss of solid waste to the environment and to preclude development of vector, odor, and public health nuisance problems. Number 6, no person shall place or store in open areas of any residential site dead or downed trees and brush, motor vehicles that do not display current state of Minnesota registration, machinery, appliances, fixtures, or equipment so damaged, deteriorated, or obsolete such that there is no substantial potential further use consistent with usual function or reasonable reuse. In addition, lumber piles and building materials not being used in actual construction on the premises and mixed municipal solid waste, including but not limited to recyclable materials, broken furniture, tires, and other debris. Last one, number 7, all construction and demolition waste, municipal solid waste, and non-processable waste shall be delivered to the La Crosse County landfill for disposal.
and then the final one would be that the applicant shall identify 2 or have a licensed professional identify 2 septic drain fields. The reserve locations shall be protected. This should include but not limited to removing it from any pasture. It can't function as machinery storage or being used for any kind of future, to locate a future accessory structure.
Any comments on the conditions?
Cleanup and site restoration of the proposed dwelling site shall be completed prior to submittal of a building application to Houston County office. It would seem to me we were already violated that. There is an application, isn't there?
For the
building permit.
One will come in later.
Building permit.
Isn't that what we're looking at here?
No, we're doing CUP
You're
conditional
looking
use.
at the use.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. All right. I feel better now. Thanks.
Are you okay with all those conditions?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I just got one thing, prior to, like the engineer saying how many feet, who goes out and says, okay, this is cleaned up enough, so now we can have somebody look at it?
That's a good question. We can certainly, I mean, where I was going with that was the documentation would show that the material has been removed.
Okay,
I'm not advocating soil sampling, like a cleanup site. You can physically get the stuff out of there, and if you see staining on soils, throw it in with the garbage, the landfill will take it.
Yes, sir.
Well, just the fact that as it exists now, it's difficult maybe to determine exactly what we need for fill, where if we had the site clear a little bit more then.
Right.
So it's kind of up to the engineer, whoever's making that judgment.
This is just sort of an idea, but I think you can burn like tree waste and stuff if you get a permit to do it, but it's probably close to the road to do that, I don't know.
There will be some requirements that go along with it.
But I mean, that's,
If you want to consider that, we'll work with you to let you know what is or is not possible.
there's a whole pile of tree waste and stuff there that'd be difficult to remove, and it's gotta be the best way to do it if it's possible. But it has to be legal, I'm sure. So,
Yeah, you can get a burn permit.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But you'd have to figure that out, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're okay with these conditions, I think we could probably move forward with the findings of facts. Everybody okay with that?
I just want a couple of questions about utilities. Have you got utilities there, electrical and well?
Yes, sir. There's electric there and there's a well there and there was an old drain field there, septic, but yeah.
Right, okay.
You're gonna take findings 9, 12, and 14 off, correct?
You motioning to do that, Greg?
Yes, I make a motion to take 9, 12, and 14 off.
Second to that?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Before we go too much further, how much of this area is gonna be covered with soil?
It would be likely the pad or whatever for underneath the mobile home. And then actually by bringing in fill, it'll help their septic system. It sounds like what they'd end up probably having is an in-ground mound more or less, so look like everybody else's trench systems. So we haven't really discussed how much other than what's
Those would be the two.
strictly underneath the
I think if we-
building.
those would be the two main areas, under the house and then associated with the drain field.
Okay,
And obviously, like Amelia's saying, with a hill like this, a mound like this, you're probably gonna infill that upside of the mound and create a nice transition. That'll give you more, yard, so to speak, but don't drive on it.
because by the time all the kind of junk and garbage is off of there, then you're not gonna have virgin soil anywhere anymore. It's gonna just get pounded. So, I mean, a mound is almost
I gave up.
foregone conclusion. You don't have to do it. So, okay.
Start with the findings.
So number one, that the proposed use conforms to the county land use plan. The comprehensive land use plan provides the basis for limiting development in the ag protection district. This proposal satisfies the dwelling density limitation. In addition, the county land use plan encourages rehab of existing buildings. While the structures at this location are no longer salvageable, the planning commission makes the same policy could apply to existing homesteads.
In favor of the staff analysis on question 1, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
Number two, that the applicant demonstrates the need for the proposed use. Conditional use permit is required to construct a single-family dwelling in the ag district.
Those in favor of the staff analysis on number 2, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 2 carries.
Number three, that the proposed use will not degrade the water quality of the county. Staff analysis says that wastewater is a potential pollutant associated with any dwelling. The applicants will install an on-site sewage treatment system meeting all applicable standards. Proximity to vulnerable water resources increase the risks associated with erosion, and strict adherence to the practices outlined in the erosion control plan is important.
All those in favor of number 3, staff analysis, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
Number four, that the proposed use will not adversely increase the quantity of water runoff. Analysis says that an erosion control plan will be required with the zoning permit application to address construction and post-construction site drainage, and shall take into account any additional mitigation measures necessary when bringing in fill to this vulnerable area. Runoff quantity due to impervious surfaces such as the roof and driveway are not expected to greatly differ from existing conditions.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 4, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
5, that the soil conditions are adequate to accommodate the proposed use. Analysis is that soils are 388D2, which are adequate for building, provided attention is paid to contours during site design. A coarse textured base may be necessary to increase strength of the soil, and soil borings will be needed to determine suitability for the septic system.
All those in favor of the staff analysis on number 5, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
6, that potential pollution hazards have been addressed and that standards have been met. Analysis says that wastewater and erosion are 2 potential hazards. Both will require plans, permits, and strict adherence to those documents to mitigate any pollution potential.
All those that agree with number 6, staff analysis, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
7, that adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, and other necessary facilities have been or are being provided. Analysis says that an erosion control plan and septic permit will be required prior to building, and a driveway access permit may be required as well. Nothing is known at this time that would prevent these permits from being issued, and provided the applicants agree with fill requirements, there is an existing well and electrical, and any other utility need is the responsibility of the applicant.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 7, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
8, that adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide sufficient off-street parking and loading space to serve the proposed use. Analysis is that there is adequate space to accommodate off-street parking for residential use.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 8, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
We are skipping 9, so 10, that the conditional use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted. Analysis says that no effect is anticipated as this was a residential site at one time. Neighboring properties are rural residential and recreational in nature, and no effect is anticipated, and the planning commission may view this proposal as an improvement on the existing condition of the property.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 10, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
11, that the establishment of the conditional use will not impede normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding vacant property for predominant uses in the area. Analysis says that granting the permit will close the northwest quarter per the dwelling density policy and should have no effect on surrounding rural residential and recreational uses.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 11, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
12 is not applicable. 13, that the density of any proposed residential development is not greater than the density of the surrounding neighborhood or not greater than the density indicated by the applicable zoning district. Analysis says that the application conforms to the 1 dwelling per quarter density limitation standard for the Ag district.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 13, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
14 is not applicable. So 15, that the site-specific conditions and such other conditions are established as required for the protection of the public's health, safety, morals, and general welfare. Analysis says that the placement of a dwelling in compliance with county and state standards is not anticipated to have any effect on the public's health, safety, morals, and general welfare.
All those that agree with number 15, staff analysis, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carries.
I'll make a motion to accept the findings.
Is there a second? Motion's been made and seconded. Should we roll call that?
Sure. Rich Shield,
Yes.
Wayne Feldmeyer,
Yep.
Ed Hamel,
Yes.
Jim Weezer,
Yes.
Larry Haffner,
Yes.
Josh Grant,
Yes.
and Greg Myrie.
Yes.
Yes. Recommend a motion for approval, which do we need to go through the conditions again or not? We have to add those two of them. Are we all in favor of putting all the conditions in, I guess, first of all?
Yeah, I think so.
Everybody agree with that?
I'll make that motion.
That include all the conditions as presented?
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay. So the motion's been made and seconded to include all the conditions that were proposed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any disagreement? That carries. So now we probably ask for a motion to recommend approval or not to recommend to the board approval.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval to the board.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Made and seconded, and we'll roll call this too.
Can I have one question quick before we do this? The Board of Adjustment put a year on this, a time limit?
Not, so what they, the time limit they put on was if for some reason you guys denied the CUP, variances don't have an expiration date otherwise, so that they put basically put an expiration date on the variances in case this got denied, so that in the future, if he had wanted to try it again, or somebody else had bought it, wanted to try it, they basically had to come back in and start over.
Okay.
Is that what you're
Yep.
wondering? Okay. So we're heading to the roll call to recommend approval or denial.
Wayne Feldmeyer,
Yes.
Ed Hamel,
Yes.
Jim Weezer,
Yes,
Larry Haffner,
Yes.
Josh Grant.
Yep.
Greg Myrie,
Yes.
and Rich Shield.
Yes.
So that goes to the board. Next meeting is on.
Yeah, so this will go to the board on May 10th for final approval. These guys are just a recommending body, so you don't have to be present for that hearing. But you're welcome to. We will let you know, I guess at that time, how that goes.
good luck, good luck.
Thank you, Dan.
Let's see, I guess we'll just go through all the hearings first and then do the minutes and stuff after. Is that okay, with everybody? So the second, kind of going through the second hearing then?
Yes.
Give us a second here.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Please take notice that an application has been made by Michael Rogish, 315 Ramsey Street South, Caledonia, Minnesota, and Amanda Bennett, co-applicant, for a conditional use permit to convert part of a building into a single-family dwelling and storage units in a general business district in Caledonia Township on the following premises to wit: Levy subdivision, lot 001, I'll just read the parcel number 030494000. Said applicant standing and making applications with the consent of co-applicant. Said co-applicant standing is as fee owner of said described lands. A hearing on this application will be held at the Houston County Commissioners, City of Caledonia, Minnesota at 5:50 on Thursday, April 28th. All persons having an interest in the matter will be given the opportunity to submit comments relative to the granting or denying of said application. Comments should be mailed to the Environmental Service Department, 304 South Marshall, Caledonia, Minnesota, or emailed to Martin Herrick at cohoustonmn.us. It must be received by Tuesday, April 19th, 2022. Comments in regard to the petition received by this date will be part of the public record and will be made available for reviewing by the Planning Commission prior to the meeting.
Okay, if you have the applicant come forward and just kind of give us a rundown.
I don't know if you're familiar with the properties in the back 40 South Club.
Okay.
There was a dwelling there at one time. It's still there.
It sounds like you're gonna put some storage units in the,
Where the dance hall would be,
so you're gonna come in the end to get in there,
you know, from the parking lot side.
or, okay, open up the side there.
Could be adding multiple sets of doors, for
Yes.
individual storage units.
Yeah.
Store the house. to rent out, or
Actually, my lawyer is from me.
Questions?
Your property is just gonna be basically the building itself? How big is the area that you're,
Well, there's actually part of the house there with the double jams
right,
and then our part.
Yep.
And then things
Yeah.
Yeah.
That building that's to this, what is that, southwest? That won't be yours?
James.
Okay, that's separate. Okay.
Could you state your names for the,
Michael Roche. Jacob.
thanks.
It sounds like you're not sure what you're gonna do with the bar and dining area
I
at
just
this
figured
point.
it'd be nice to commercial and somebody have some kind of thing run at the other side of town. Well,
Been kind of vacant out there for,
sometime 3 years probably.
Yep, yep.
Needs a lot of work.
This is zoned business district? Is that
Yes.
that correct? That'll stay that way.
Right.
Okay.
this is the only business out there, though, correct?
It's not a rezone situation.
Right.
So that's right.
Any questions for the applicant?
Well, can you explain, so how many kind of entities are going to be using the existing septic system?
The septic as well as on Jane Mo's property. That's all hooked together.
And they
So be
have-
adding, or is there going to be
No,
any
there's
changes
nothing
at
gonna
all?
change. There's nothing gonna change.
Even with the living quarters and the storage units?
Everybody's already hooked up to it.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, they used to live there, so,
And it had the restaurant in it previously.
yes.
Can you say that again?
It had the restaurant
Oh,
hooked up on
okay.
the septic system previously.
Probably
Nothing
plenty
with
big.
the septic is gonna change.
The only change would be just the
Yes.
contract between you and the other
Yes.
person.
Yes.
And you've got a contract, you've got that all figured out already, I'm
We
sure.
kind of got an agreement. I haven't purchased the property yet, so
Mhm.
we're gonna go up the lawyers and have that drawn out.
Sure. Mhm. Everything in writing is always a good thing, I imagine.
Well, it's,
Yeah.
yeah,
And the water is the same deal, it's a shared well.
yes.
And you see no problem with any of that, so.
No.
Okay. Any other questions? Probably a good thing to get some use out of the area there again, if you can get it going, so. Well, I think that's all we need to ask from you. It seems like everybody's pretty familiar with it.
Yeah.
So we should go to the,
Read the findings.
yes, let's do that.
Could I have one question? Would we need to include that as a condition as far as the septic being on the neighboring property? That an agreement would be,
Won't there be a
Required?
septic inspection when
We already
Yeah.
had it done,
it did?
yes.
That's included in the packet.
Chase Munson?
Back,
It's
yeah.
It's a verification. It's not a full compliance.
What was your question, Jen?
just the fact that, he won't own land to put the septic on it, but should we include a condition that would say that, the septic is on the neighboring property? And that would,
You could, just that you recognize that,
right,
yeah, because there is a septic and well agreement filed between the current landowner and.
it is on file, okay,
There's one, a recorded document,
yeah,
but you could just say that you recognize. the
Okay.
condition That you recognize that.
It's not incredibly uncommon for that to happen.
okay.
I guess that's kind of their problem in a way. That they have to have a place to put their septic. And you've got that agreement already. Or you will, I
We
mean,
will.
when necessary,
Yes.
but it could be included too, so.
Yeah, I mean, we can, that, what we basically do is put in a condition that says, you shall provide a record of the agreement. Is what we cover.
Okay.
We agree with that?
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Okay,
Yeah, because the condition, that follow state federal laws takes this. SSGS is a state, so that takes care of
Yeah.
whether it's in compliance or not.
Yeah,
but if we had asked for an agreement, that would be too out of line
Yeah.
either, so I think we covered it all.
yeah, we can do that.
So we just consider that's going to be one of the conditions too.
Yeah,
then.
a documentation condition,
Yeah.
sure.
With that, I think we can go ahead to the findings of fact.
I'll make a motion to take finding 5 out.
Second,
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Condition number 1. Subdivision of findings. Planning commission shall not recommend a conditional use permit unless they find the following. Number 1, that the proposed use conforms to the county land use plan. Staff analysis, the proposal is allowed in the zoning ordinance.
All those in favor with the staff analysis on number 1, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
Number 2, that the applicant demonstrates a need for the proposed use. Staff analysis, the applicant is proposing to purchase the property and convert a portion of the facility back into living quarters and another portion into a 7-unit storage facility. Both are legitimate needs.
All those in favor of the staff analysis on number 2, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Number 3, that the proposed use will not degrade the water quality of the county. Staff analysis, the shared well and septic system agreements with adjacent neighbor will be amended with no proposed changes. The proposed activity will not degrade water quality.
All those in favor of the staff analysis on number 3, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
Number 4, that the proposed use will not adversely increase the quantity of water runoff. Staff analysis, the proposed changes in operations will not increase water runoff or cause releases to the environment.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 4, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
Number 5 was not applicable. 6, that potential hazards have been addressed and that standards have been met. Staff analysis, the proposed activities will not result in releases to the environment and standards can be met.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 6, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
Number 7, that adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, and other necessary facilities have been or are being provided. Staff analysis, existing utilities will be adequate for the proposed uses.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 7, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
Number 8, that adequate measures have been and will be taken to provide sufficient off-street parking and loading space to serve the proposed use. Staff analysis, the adjacent parking lot will provide adequate off-street parking space.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 8, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
Number 9, that facilities are provided to eliminate any traffic congestion or traffic hazard which may result from the proposed use. Staff analysis, the proposed dwelling is limited in size and consequently only 1 or 2 residents would occupy it. The proposed storage is a 7-unit. Combined, these 2 activities are less intense than previous uses for the facility and will not create traffic congestion.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 10, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 9's good too. So everybody agrees with that.
Yes.
So we'll move on to 10.
That conditional use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted. Staff analysis, the adjacent properties are residential and agricultural, and the proposed use is less intense than the previous for the facility.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 10, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
Number 11, that the establishment of conditional use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding vacant property for predominant uses in the area. Staff analysis, the proposed use will have minimal impact on surrounding vacant property.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 11, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
Number 12, that adequate measures have been or will be taken to prevent or control offensive odors, fumes, dust, noise, and vibration, so that none of these will constitute a nuisance, and to control lighted signs and other lights in such a manner that no disturbance to neighboring properties will result. Staff analysis, there will be no signage for the storage units and the proposal will not create onerous odors, fumes, dust, noise, or vibrations.
All those that agree with the staff analysis, number 12, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
Number 13, that the density of any proposed residential development is not greater than the density of the surrounding neighborhood or not greater than the density indicated by the applicable zoning district. Staff analysis, the proposed density is reduced from the previous restaurant activities.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 13, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
14, that the intensity of any proposed commercial or industrial development is not greater than the intensity of the surrounding uses or not greater than the intensity characteristic of the applicable zoning district. Staff analysis, the storage units will have infrequent activities that are substantially less than previous uses. The proposal will not substantially impact nearby commercial or agricultural activities.
All those that agree with the staff analysis, number 14, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
15, that site-specific conditions and such other conditions are established as required for the protection of public's health, safety, morals, and general welfare. Staff analysis, this proposal will not impact public health, safety, and general welfare.
All those in favor of the staff analysis on number 15, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries.
Move the motion to accept the findings.
Second to that motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, let's roll call this too, I guess.
Okay. Greg Myrie,
Yes.
Rich Shield,
Yes.
Wayne Feldmeyer,
Yes.
Ed Hamel,
Yes.
Jim Weezer,
Yes.
Larry Haffner,
Yes.
Josh Grant. Yes.
So should we go through the conditions here before we go any further?
Yes. Number 1, the permittee shall comply with all federal, state, and local laws and regulations. Number 2, the county may enter onto the premises at reasonable times and in a reasonable manner to ensure the permit holder is in compliance with the conditions and all other applicable statutes, rules, and ordinances. And the third one is, I'll put together a condition that says documentation shall be provided for the septic and well agreements between the adjacent owners.
Okay. Everybody good with that?
Yep. Yep. I'll make a motion to approve the permit with those conditions.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
And we're recommending approval, moving on to the board.
Yeah.
So let's do a roll call vote on this one too.
Okay. Myrie, yes. Rich Shield,
Yes.
Wayne Feldmeyer,
Yes.
Ed Hamel,
Yes.
Jim Weezer,
Yes.
Larry Haffner,
Yes.
Josh Grant.
Yes.
So, yeah. Well, we're on to number 3.
Anybody here?
We do have Randy, don't we?
Yep.
Yep.
Oh,
I look the other way.
so we'll go ahead and read the,
Yeah, and Andrew, you're taking care of this one? Okay, yep. Yes. So please take notice that an application has been made by Consolidated Energy of Onalaska, Wisconsin, and Randy and Deborah Myrie as co-applicants for a conditional use permit to install a liquid propane gas storage facility in an ag district in Spring Grove Township. Said applicant standing and making application is with consent of co-applicant, and said co-applicant standing is as fee owner of said described lands. A hearing on this application will be held at the Houston County Commissioners Room in Caledonia at 6:10 p.m. on Thursday, April 28th of 2022. All persons having an interest in the matter will be given the opportunity to submit comments relative to the granting or denying of said application. Comments should be mailed to the Environmental Services Department or emailed to Martin Herrick and must be received by Tuesday, April 19th of 2022. Comments in regard to the petition received by this date will be part of the public record and will be made available for review by the Planning Commission prior to the meeting. And this was advertised on April 13th of 2022.
we could have the applicant come forward and just kind of present the idea.
This with Consolidated Energy Company.
Joel Reinhardt.
So Reinhardt here and Andy Myrie, the property owner, is online here. I agree with all the findings of staff report. Looks fine. The conditions that are proposed are fine. Joel, can you,
Give a little background.
Yeah.
So Consolidated Energy Company, we're a fuel and propane distribution company. Back in December, we acquired Severson Oil Company out of Winona, Minnesota. As part of that acquisition, we acquired a 30,000 gallon propane tank that currently sits to the west of the proposed property at Farmers Co-op. And so we own that asset. We're simply looking to move that onto this new property, add a second tank, and then base those operations out of that facility. So really, we're gonna be loading delivery trucks to service our customer base throughout this town. Happy to answer any questions if you guys have as well. Appreciate the time.
It's gonna be off of that, where the tower is, or?
So this will be right off of Myrie Drive, off of 44, adjacent to.
Springville Township, oh, those guys, and gave an application, took it through the.
Yeah, it's across the highway from, I want to call it All Phase, what is it now, Lacrosse Fabricating?
LAX. Yeah.
I guess I just want to make note that in their application materials, they did identify that they're looking for 30,000 gallon and 18,000 gallon propane tank. They're just disclosing the fact that in the future, they may want to locate a second 30,000 gallon tank, but that is not being included in this particular CUP. They fully are aware of the fact that that would require them to amend their CUP.
Any further questions?
What about the building? Would that affect the CUP?
No. No, and that's in their short-term plans here. So,
Right, okay.
Gotta be to house a truck or something probably.
It'd be size, I think we had a 25 by 25 on there, mainly for part storage. If anything, we park a pickup truck in there as well.
So, seems like a good improvement to the continuation of service and everything. Probably kind of interesting to get that thing moved across the highway, huh? Any other questions? Probably had to, what do you think?
Yeah, I was just gonna add one condition aside from the three that were identified in the board packet that we had kind of discussed was that, so they identify in their site plan that there will be fencing around it and security lights. We just want to put that the site should meet or exceed what was outlined in the application, just so we have that on record for security and fencing.
Everybody good with that? Yeah. Makes sense? You're okay with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, let's proceed with the findings of fact then.
I'll make a motion to take findings 13 out.
All those in favor, that's still.
I'll take a second.
Second, all those in favor of taking 13 out? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 13's out.
Ready?
Yep.
So, findings of fact, number one, that the proposed use conforms to the county land use plan. The analysis says that the comprehensive land use plan encourages diversified economic development and the continued expansion of trade and service industries in the county.
All those that agree with the findings on number one, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
Two, that the applicant demonstrates the need for the proposed use. The staff analysis is that the applicants need a satellite distribution location to provide propane fuel to area landowners for both residential and ag use.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number two, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
Three, that the proposed use will not degrade the water quality of the county. Analysis says that the applicants identified that no materials or practices that have potential to degrade water quality will be employed.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 3, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
4, that the proposed use will not adversely increase the quantity of water runoff. Analysis is this proposal includes minimal roof area, but much of the site will be surfaced with crushed rock. Minimal slopes and high soil hydrologic capacity should alleviate concerns of increased water runoff.
All those that agree with the staff analysis number 4, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
5, that soil conditions are adequate to accommodate the proposed use. Analysis is the soils are 285A and 492B, which are both silt loams and considered prime egg soils. The soil survey of Houston County identifies underlying bedrock as a possible hindrance and that roads need to be constructed on well compacted, coarse textured base material, but soils can accommodate structures.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 5, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
6, that potential pollution hazards have been addressed and that standards have been met. Analysis says that the applicants do not propose to use any hazardous materials, but there is no wastewater being proposed at this site, and if a septic system is necessary when the accessory building is permitted, it will be required to be designed and installed by a licensed professional. Only liquid propane will be stored on site in a manner compliant with all regulations.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 6, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.
7, that adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, and other necessary facilities have been and are being provided. This location is adjacent to an existing roadway for industrial access. Electrical utilities will be necessary and are the responsibility of the applicant.
All those in favor of the staff analysis on number 7, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
8, that adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide sufficient off-street parking and loading space to serve the proposed use. There will be a crushed rock surface parking area to provide room for any parking units.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 8, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
9, that facilities are provided to eliminate any traffic congestion or traffic hazard which may result from the proposed use. Staff analysis is that the applicants identify there will be minimal traffic. It's expected that 1 to 2 bulk supply trucks will deliver per week, along with 1 local delivery truck being based out of the site.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 9, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
And that the conditional use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of their property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted. Analysis is that the properties to the south and west are of similar use. Those areas are zoned industrial, and there is 1 dwelling approximately 800 feet to the north. Otherwise, the surrounding acreage is tillable. This proposal will remove tillable acreage, but should not adversely affect any surrounding use. And there is 1 similar operation in adjacent city property, and similar operations have been permitted within the county.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 10, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
11, that the establishment of the conditional use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding vacant property for predominant uses in the area. Analysis is that the proposed use will remove tillable acreage from production, but will not impede the use of adjacent tillable acreage. The neighboring sites are industrial in nature.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 11, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
12, that adequate measures have been or will be taken to prevent or control offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise, and vibrations so that none of these will constitute a nuisance, and to control lighted signs and other lights in such a manner that no disturbance to neighboring properties will result. Staff analysis says that the applicant state the proposed operation will create minimal odors, fumes, dust, noise, and vibration. If fugitive dust becomes prevalent, they will use water to control, and 1 security light will be installed on site pointed downward.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 12, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
13 is not applicable, rather. 14, that the intensity of any proposed commercial or industrial development is not greater than the intensity of the surrounding uses or not greater than the intensity characteristic of the applicable zoning district. The property borders State 44 to the south, Myrie Drive to the west, and Ag Land to the north and east. Adjacent properties within city jurisdiction are industrial zoned, and there is 1 dwelling within a quarter mile within the Ag District. This proposal is a similar nature to the neighboring industrial uses, and this use is likely less intense than those operations.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 14, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
15, that site-specific conditions and such other conditions are established as required for the protection of the public's health, safety, morals, and general welfare. Analysis says that the proposed location near an industrial park puts this operation near similar uses and in an area away from high residential populations. Adherence to the Minnesota State Code, Chapter 61, and the National Fire Protection Association Standard 58 ensure this operation will meet regulations set forth by the state and federal governments to protect the public's health, safety, and general welfare.
All those that agree with the staff analysis, number 15, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. You want to go through the conditions? Amelia?
Yes, so we have 4 conditions. 1, that the permittee shall comply with all federal, state, and local laws and regulations. 2, that the county may enter onto the premises at reasonable times and in a reasonable manner to ensure the permit holder is in compliance with the conditions and all their applicable statutes, rules, and ordinances. 3, that a certificate of survey completed by a licensed surveyor is required for the newly created parcel, which shall be substantially similar to the proposed parcel as described in the application. And 4, that the site should meet or exceed what was outlined in the application in reference to security fencing, lights, etc.
Just before we go any further, do you have anything to add, Randy?
No.
Good, everything good? Okay.
No, we didn't yet.
I'll make a motion to approve the findings.
I'll second it.
Let's do a roll call on that.
Ed Hamel,
Yes.
Jim Weezer,
Yes.
Larry Haffner,
Yes.
Josh Grant, Greg Myrie,
Yes.
Rich Shield,
Yes.
and Wayne Feldmeyer.
Yep.
So we got the findings of fact approved, and now we went through the conditions, so everybody's in favor of the conditions?
Just one thing I want to bring up on your, I was looking at your site plan, you've got a company sign on the site plan. I just would recommend they be made aware of our requirements for signage.
Yeah, most of our ordinance just references the state code for signs, but we do require that you meet the highway setbacks for that too.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve CUP with those conditions in it. On the floor.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to recommend approval or to the county board to move it on. Do a roll call?
Jim Weezer,
Yes.
Larry Haffner,
Yes.
Josh Grant,
Yes.
Greg Myrie, Rich Shield,
Yes.
Wayne Feldmeyer,
Yes.
and Ed Hamel.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
So that'll go to board on May 10th then.
One more.
Up front, Sam. The next phase.
Did you see them?
Yes.
Okay.
Sam Gosker, Matthew Construction Company.
So you want to go ahead and read the meeting notice?
Yeah. So please take notice that an application has been made by Patrick Paulino of Matthew Construction Company for an interim use permit for a temporary bituminous plant in an agricultural district in Mayville Township. Said applicant standing and making application is as fee owner of said described lands. A hearing on this application will be held at the Houston County Commissioners Room in Caledonia at 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, April 28th of 2022. All persons having an interest in the matter will be given the opportunity to submit comments relative to the granting or denying of said application. Comments should be mailed to the Environmental Services Department or emailed to Martin Herrick and must be received by Tuesday, April 19th of 2022. Comments in regard to the petition received by the state will be part of the public record and will be made available for review by the Planning Commission prior to the meeting. This was advertised on April 13th of 2022.
Okay, and then you want to just tell us what's up?
Yeah, Matthew Construction would like to bring in a portable asphalt plant to County Road 32 to Angler 40 to be the first for the county state aid project.
Sounds like we've had a plant in there before, the way it sounds.
Yes, we have.
So it's pretty straightforward application, it seems. Any questions here from anybody?
Can you go back and explain, Matthew needs to secure an industrial use conditional permit?
Yeah, so it was brought to our attention by the DNR when this went up for comment that when our shoreline ordinance was changed in late 2018, the update included the fact that any industrial use within a shoreline district would require a conditional use permit. I guess she said that they talked about it in 2019 and it was decided that the next hearing down or whenever this came up again, that we would approach it. Well, I guess I wasn't aware of that. And so that is why we otherwise we would have just dealt with that tonight. But it will be advertised and dealt with in May, hopefully in time that we won't set back any of the schedules at all. And so that particular conditional use permit will be more on stormwater management and runoff and just making sure that we aren't impacting any of the intermittent streams that go through there. And that is a trout stream, or there is a trout stream easement there for that, pretty much the section I think that parallels the access road through the quarry. Perhaps you can touch on that a little bit more. So they just want to make sure that we're really not gonna, anything that you guys are doing, you're not gonna impact the water quality there. You will have to make sure that all your structures are outside of the 100-foot setback, which actually is basically on the other side of your access road anyway. And so they're just looking at those items a little bit closer, but we're still gathering some of the data on that, I guess, as far as that goes, but at least that will be a conditional use permit. So then once we do that, then they'll be good for all their future bituminous plant permits.
So it doesn't matter technically which one comes first.
No, and actually that was one condition that I'm proposing being added to this. And it's just that we won't technically issue this permit until we know that they have a conditional use permit on record.
Okay.
So that'd kind of get them ready they'd be approved for if they want to do it again. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So then if they want to come back next year, as of right now, it's still an interim use, so they'd have to come in and ask for the interim use permit for the plant, but we won't ever have to look at the conditional use in shoreland again.
Okay. You guys are
right.
good with that and everything?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions for Sam?
The only thing I was looking at, your haul routes for sand from La Crescent,
Yes.
you're going through town. And I was looking at the directions and I think that's wrong. Talks about going from on Oak Street. And I believe what you want to do is follow County Road 6 out to the lights.
Yes, if there is something in there with Oak Street, that
Yeah,
would be
that's,
incorrect. We would have to follow County Road 6 to
All the way
Highway
to the-
14 at the lights.
Right, the lights, okay, yep.
Any other questions? We need to go through the conditions at all before we go to the findings of fact, just to see what we're up to, or is that necessary? Just wait till the end.
Yeah, just the extra permit is the only thing I have to add other than what you've already, or what you have in front of you.
Okay.
So we can just wait.
Okay, sounds good. So I guess we can go to the,
Findings.
yep. Wait, like, there's nobody from the public here that wanted to speak to this, is there? Forgot to ask that, so drop it out of the way now for the findings of fact.
Did findings 5 and 13 out.
I'll second that.
All those in favor of taking 5 and 13 out, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
So number one, that the proposed use conforms to the county land use plan. The county land use plan says to encourage the development of a transportation system which properly balances considerations of safety, accessibility, environmental protection, and cost.
All those in favor of the staff analysis of number 1, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
Number two, that the applicant demonstrates the need for the proposed use. Staff analysis says that if scheduled projects on County State Aid Highway 1, 4, and 10 have a need for the temporary asphalt plant.
All those in favor of the staff analysis on number 2, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
3, that the proposed use will not degrade the water quality of the county. Analysis says that standard precautions required by state and federal law will be followed. As an added measure, operators receive specialized training for spill response. This quarry operation currently has a berm between the driveway and intermittent stream.
All those in favor of the staff analysis on number 3, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
4, that the proposed use will not adversely increase the quantity of water runoff. Analysis says that this use should not impact quantity of water runoff, and berms will contain runoff within the existing quarry site.
All those in favor of the staff analysis on number 4, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
5, that the soil conditions are adequate to accommodate the proposed
We threw
use
that-
is
threw
not
that.
applicable. 6, that potential pollution hazards have been addressed and that standards have been met. Analysis says that a spill prevention control countermeasure plan is in place and maintained by educated and competent employees, and applicable air quality standards are met as well.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 6, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
7, that adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, and other necessary facilities have been or are being provided. Analysis says that proposed routes avoid township roads and city streets which can be damaged by heavy traffic.
All those that agree with the staff analysis number 7, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
8, that adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide sufficient off-street parking and loading space to serve the proposed use. Analysis says that there's adequate space within the quarry footprint for this use.
Everybody that agrees with staff analysis number 8, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
9, that facilities are provided to eliminate any traffic congestion or traffic hazard which may result from the proposed use. Analysis identifies that for past projects, increased traffic loading on all routes utilized was not projected to impact traffic a significant amount. This will be a short-term operation, and the haul routes are identified make use of the most robust roadways available.
All those that agree with the staff analysis number 9, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
Number 10, that the interim use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted. Analysis states that the nearest dwelling is approximately 2,900 feet away. Adjacent properties are quarries, woodland, and cropland. This temporary facility should not have an impact greater than the operating quarry in which it will be housed.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 10, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
11, that the establishment of the conditional use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding vacant property for predominant uses in the area. Analysis states that the predominant use in the area is agricultural cropland, which is not anticipated to be affected. In addition, this temporary facility should not have an impact greater than the operating quarry in which it will be housed.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 11, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
12, that adequate measures have been or will be taken to prevent or control offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise, and vibration, so that none of these will constitute a nuisance, and to control lighted signs and other lights in such a manner that no disturbance to neighboring properties will result. Analysis states that the applicant identifies the intent to reduce asphalt odor with odor suppressant and control fugitive dust with water. The measures proposed mitigate potential nuisances to the extent practical and are adequate given the relatively isolated location of the site.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 12, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
13 is not applicable. 14 states that the intensity of any proposed commercial or industrial development is not greater than the intensity of the surrounding uses or not greater than the intensity characteristic of the applicable zoning district. Analysis identifies that this temporary facility should not have an impact greater than the operating quarry in which it is housed.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 14, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
15, that site-specific conditions and such other conditions are established as required for the protection of the public's health, safety, morals, and general welfare. Analysis states that the proposed location is appropriate due to distances to neighboring dwellings and presence within an existing quarry. The spill prevention control countermeasure plan mitigates unforeseen threats to the public's health, safety, morals, and general welfare to the extent practical. The proposed haul routes result in minimum wear on public road infrastructure, thus protecting the general welfare. And additionally, the applicant's previous work in the county has been conducted as presented and without incident.
All those that agree with the staff analysis on number 15, say aye.
Aye.
And that carries, so should we have a
I would
motion?
make a motion, we accept the findings as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Let's roll call that too.
Larry Haffner,
Yes.
Josh Grant,
Yes.
Greg Myrie,
Yes.
Rich Shield,
Yes.
Wayne Feldmeyer,
Yes.
Ed Hamel,
Yes.
and Jim Weezer.
Yes.
So any further discussion before we ask for a motion to approve
We want to go through
the
the,
conditions?
Recommendations.
Yeah, you want to just read through the conditions?
Yep, so the first 5 are standard from what I believe have been done the past few years. They are, number 1, that the permittee shall comply with all federal, state, and local laws and regulations. 2, that the county may enter into the premises at reasonable times and in a reasonable manner to ensure the permit holder is in compliance with the conditions and all other applicable statutes, rules, and ordinances. 3, that runoff from within the plant footprint shall be contained within the existing 4 floor. 4, that haul routes shall not include Kingston Street in the city of Caledonia, or we'll add Oak Street in La Crescent. And 5, that the permit expiration shall be December 31st of 2022. And 6, that this permit shall not be issued until a CUP for industrial use in Shoreline District has been approved by the Board of Commissioners.
I'll make a motion to approve that with those conditions.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to recommend approval of the permit. Do a roll call.
Josh Grant,
Yes.
Greg Myrie,
Yes.
Rich Shield,
Yes.
Wayne Feldmeyer,
Yes.
Ed Hamel,
Yes.
Jim Weezer,
Yes.
Larry Haffner.
yes.
That goes to the board. You said May 10th is what this.
Yeah, May 10th, but then we'll wait till we get the goal is to take the CUP to board on May 24th for the shoreland, and then we'll just issue both permits after that.
Thank you, Sam. Everybody have a chance to go through the minutes of the last meeting? I'll second. All those in favor of approving last month's meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed to those minutes? Carry, how about a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Didn't think so.